Oh, now we're recording.
Does that mean we haven't been on?
No,
it just means we just haven't recorded.
We've been on. We just haven't recorded.
Do you think we ought to start over just for the fun of it?
Well, I did the same thing yesterday. I don't know if you noticed, but yesterday
It was a problem.
I skipped the first 2 minutes of the intro. On the recording, those who watched live got it.
I noticed.
Well, you did notice, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we're still streaming, but it's it's recording and yeah.
We supposed to hit 2 buttons. We hit 1.
Yeah, more or less. But
That's
guys, this is the Phee Smee Show.
Yes.
What's the date? It's not episode 3. It's June 26th, 2025. And today, me and Phee have got so many things to talk about.
Well, let's get at it, Mark. You hit me up, and we'll just rock and roll. We're on the roller coaster of life.
Maybe you'll hit me up. Well, tell me what's going on. I haven't been looking at the Twitter. I haven't been keeping up with Donald Trump. I don't know what's going on with Iran, Israel.
You've been watching all that kind of stuff on your phone. I know you, but just like the back of my hand, I promise you, you're on that phone 24/7 looking. You know that the inspectors have said that yes, the United States really set back Iran's nuclear program for a couple of years. I think that they are, again, United Nations.
But you're telling me the inspectors are already in there saying...
Yes, they already know all the damage.
Oh, let me ask you this. The same inspectors that aren't allowed in Israel?
Absolutely. Yeah. You do know that if Israel's prime minister comes to New York, the socialist is going to arrest him.
I hope somebody does. He's a criminal. I'm not necessarily anti-Israel, anti-Jew, but Benjamin Netanyahu is a criminal.
You do not like Mr. Benjamin. You know, when he trades
criminal.
When he trades land,
Polish criminal
for peace, he will die just like the rest of
them. Do you think he's going to do it?
Yes.
I don't know if he is, because he's so prideful as a Polish man that I don't know if he's going to concede land in the Middle East as a Polish man.
Yeah. Well. Why don't you go into his lineage a little bit?
Eastern European.
Eastern European.
You'll be surprised how many of these people are actually Eastern European.
Yes, yes.
Which, I mean, again, his loyalty is to Israel. I'm not saying he's loyal to Poland.
No.
But I just wonder if he, well, like this is actually very, very interesting now that we're talking about it. I think he is, well, his loyalty is to Israel, but I saw a video from the 90s of Netanyahu and some famous rabbi that if you're an Israeli, you'd say, oh, Rabbi Shmuel? Yeah, him, whatever his name was, who was kind of like, they're on live TV in an interview, I need to show it to you, but he was essentially, the rabbi was saying, you're not making the Messiah come any faster. Yeah, you're not making the Messiah come. What are you doing? You got to be making the Messiah come, the Mashiach. You got to be, so the point I'm making is...
I think Netanyahu has anything to do with that.
No, well, let me say this. There is I don't want to say sect, but there's a thought within Judaism that it's their job to make the world ripe or make the world ready for the Messiah. And so what I'm saying is, this rabbi was telling Netanyahu, you need to make the conditions right for the Messiah to come.
Usher him in.
Usher him in. And so again, I say that you asked me, do I think Netanyahu has the power to actually do that? Well, no. I don't. He's a Jew. He's a pagan. He don't believe in Christ. Pagan. He's going to hell. He's a pagan. If he doesn't acknowledge Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, he's going to hell. He's a pagan. But the point I'm making is, in their schools of thoughts, in their belief systems, they have to make the conditions to bring about the Messiah. So this famous rabbi, was telling Netanyahu in the 90s, you've been doing all this stuff, but where's the Messiah? You're not doing enough. Where's the Messiah? And then you had 9/11, then you had Iraq, Iran. The point I'm making is, Netanyahu sees himself in a particular position to set the world stage to bring about the Messiah. I mean, I think it's wrong. It's just because it's God's doing. Now, if it's God's doing through wicked men's intentions, maybe. But a lot of what these Jewish people do, or Jewish groups, and again, I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic in saying that, is they believe that they have to make the world ready for the Messiah. And that's what I think, whenever, Alex Jones was talking about Israel being crappy yesterday. Like, Israel's doing this and it's crappy. Israel's doing that. It's because they think they have to make the world ready for the Messiah. Their Messiah, who just very well might be our Antichrist. Now, it might not be. Depends on if you take the opinion of a Muslim Antichrist, a Jewish Antichrist, a European Antichrist, a Catholic Antichrist. There's so many thoughts, so many dispensations. I'm not sure. But Netanyahu is trying, whether he's actually going to or not, or whether he's wrong or not, he's trying to lay the groundwork within Israel and the whole world for the coming of their Messiah.
Much like Sarah did with Abraham.
Well, I mean, not surprising.
He's just trying to help, isn't he?
Yeah, but
everybody's just trying to help God right along.
Well, but I mean, I'm being serious. I really, truly, as wishy-washy as I am about anything, I really do believe that there's a group of Jewish people who believe it's their job to bring about the coming of their Messiah. And so they have to manipulate the world to make it ready for that Messiah. But then there's some Jews who think it's going to be divine. Like there's coming a divine Messiah, like actually happened, Jesus. So I'm not just attributing this to all Jews, because just like in Christianity, we believe in a post-trib rapture. We're going to be here for the tribulation. Most of my family thinks we're going to be raptured out. So there's differences within Christian communities of the end times. Likewise, there's differences in the end time views of Jewish people. Some Jewish people think he's going to miraculously come and save the Jews. Yeah, great. That's what Jesus did. Some people think we have to make the world a certain way so the Messiah will come and usher in the age of the Messiah, the Messianic age. And all these Jewish groups, I don't know. I can't sit here and say which one Benjamin Netanyahu's a part of, but he's a part of the one that we have to make the world such a way that the Messiah will come. Well, bad news for him, the Messiah already came.
Well, the spiritual wars and religious wars have been going on. Think about Islamism.
Well, Islamism, yes.
They're waiting for their Mahdi.
The Mahdi, yeah, and which I wasn't trying to just derail the conversation or take over, but it's like these are very important things that you see working in the background that then are presented in the forefront. Like, say if Israel really did 9/11, I'm not saying they did or didn't. I think they did, and blamed it on Iraq, even though the pilots were Saudis. And the jet fuel melted the steel beams, but they still found the passports sitting on top of all the rubble. It's like, oh, you found these perishable passports in all the rubble, but just
the steel melted, but the paper didn't.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, yeah. How convenient that we got the passports of all these hijackers. That they just happened, I'm going to hijack a plane, so I got my passport in my front pocket.
Yep. Well, I think they need one. Hijackers need to be identified.
Well, but you need one to get on a plane. But all I'm saying is, it's just like, well, did all these other how many other passports did they find? Did they find Joe Blow from Cincinnati?
Joe probably didn't have his with him.
No, well, but the point I'm making is whether it's Israel or not, and I do believe it was Israel intelligence who perpetuated 9/11.
Mossad is very good.
Yes, but I think they did so because, we are the pay pig for Israel. America's the pay pig for Israel. America is in Jewish mysticism. Have you ever heard of a golem?
No, tell me about it.
I don't know. I'm not Jewish. I don't believe in Jewish mysticism, but they believe that they can create. Just for lack of a better term, a monster to defeat their enemies, right? So it's like, for real, like in Jewish mysticism, there's like this idea where they can make a clay thing and give power to it to where it'll defeat them.
That sounds a little like idolism.
Well, it is, but Jewish mysticism is just rife with things that we would think were idolatry, but they've got 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years of rabbis arguing with each other. To where they got a loophole for everything, man. They tie a fishing line around all of Manhattan. Well, we're in our home. We can do stuff on our home on the Sabbath. But they're looking for loopholes. But the point I'm making about this is we are Israel's golem in that they simply direct us, and we make it happen. Like, oh, we're their pay pig. We pay for everything they ever do, and we defend them for everything they ever do, whether it's in our interest or not. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but the point I'm making is, well, I guess per Jewish mysticism principles, we are the slaves of Israel. But that's just right where they want us. Like Netanyahu said in the 90s that we're going to bleed America dry. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. All these wars in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq. What was the point? What was the point? I don't know. Maybe someone smarter than me could say, well, this was the point. This specific thing. Like, do you know the specific point of us going in Iraq, Afghanistan?
They felt obligated to attack because someone attacked them, which is a lot of people think that Israel is going to manipulate the United States.
They are. They have. They have been doing so since World War I.
To bring about World War III.
Well, they brought about World War I. They brought about World War II, and before, but World War I and World War II wasn't Israel. It was the people, the Rothschilds, the people who were instrumental in establishing the state of Israel. I mean, the Balfour Decree. I mean, you get into all that. It was a very specific family, the Rothschilds, who wanted it. And then after that...
Very wealthy.
Very wealthy. Well, the way they got wealthy was they lied about the stocks whenever Napoleon... Oh, I mean, don't get me quoting history I know nothing about, but the point being was they lied and said that Napoleon won, beat England. Hey, Napoleon won, sell all your stocks. Oh, sell all your stocks, Napoleon won. Oh, he won. Oh, we got to sell our stocks. Well, but really, Napoleon lost. The Rothschilds knew that. They're the ones saying, Napoleon won. So we'll buy all these stocks for cheap. They bought all the stocks. A few days later, Napoleon lost. Sorry, guys. That's where the Rothschilds got all their wealth.
Making decisions based on bad information.
Yes, sir. But then that ties directly into the founding of Israel in 1948.
Well, let's talk about Israel. You've got a tremendous amount of population over there that's atheist.
Yeah, they're secular.
You have a big population over there that's Muslim.
Yes.
You have a big population over there that are different types of Jewish. Just as we have denominations.
Yeah, and the Jew stuff's hard to figure out because you got the ultra-Orthodox, you got the Orthodox, you got the secular.
A lot of them don't believe but 4 books of the Bible.
Yes.
They don't read but Moses, and that's it. They don't ever read about the prophecy. And then, but Daniel puts it on, and we're going to continue to go through Daniel on our podcast.
I hope so.
With Daniel 10, and we're going to go through and phenomenal. Last night I went over Revelations.
Well, I would say from your call. Hey, Jerry. I think Jerry's on.
Jerry?
Jerry. We love Jerry.
Jerry.
We're just talking, man. We're here talking, brother.
Jerry, in Genesis it says, "Those that bless Israel will be blessed, and those that curse Israel will be cursed."
Actually, I think Fee's misquoting the Bible.
Not misquoting the Bible.
Yeah, Fee's misquoting the Bible because it doesn't say Israel.
Let's go with
that's to Abraham. Abraham, the person. If you bless Abraham, you will be blessed, and if you curse Abraham, you'll be cursed. Abraham's the father of a multitude of nations, and so,
which two?
Well, which multitude do you have to curse or bless? And so, like my preacher specifically mentioned this verse last night.
Right.
And he didn't expound upon it.
But you did.
I was sitting there thinking, it was when God called Abraham out of where he was at and said, leave your family, leave your father's house. Those who curse you, Abraham, I will curse. Those who bless you, Abraham, I will bless. But then we want to attribute it to the entirety of the seed of Abraham.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm being honest, me and you might very likely be that seed of Abraham.
We are.
Well, but now I'm not even saying grafted on.
You're not?
No, we are grafted on through the Jews.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
But if he's the father of many nations,
right?
How many nations was he the father of that wasn't Israel?
Well, Islam won.
Islam, but that's the same. You will be the father of many nations. Okay, as Abraham, the father of many nations, those who curse you, Abraham, well, if I curse Ishmael, am I cursed? Or if I bless Ishmael, am I
There's the whole holy war right there in a nutshell.
I'm not even picking sides, but what I'm saying is denominations, just like you say, have used this verse in Genesis
Absolutely.
to say, if you curse Israel, you're going to be cursed. If you bless Israel, you're going to be blessed. That was talking about Abraham. Abraham, who was not Israel, Jacob was Israel. And that's not even getting into whether or not Jacob and the Israel of the Old Testament is the 1948 Israel. I mean...
Probably not, because the Bible says that they're going to bring and gather the Jews back that they scattered out.
They did, but again, I'm not trying to. This isn't a poo on Israel kind of thing. It's I'm tired of being slapped in the face with if you curse Israel, you're going to be cursed, and if you bless Israel, you're going to be blessed. I'm not trying to curse or bless them. I'm trying to live my own life and follow Christ. But you're telling me these pagans in the desert who. They have they're the most pro-gay country in the world, Israel.
They have had some transgender.
But if I curse them,
surgical centers, haven't they?
Or if I don't give them much thought, then the Lord's going to curse me. But what if I'm one of the nations? What if I'm part of one of the nations that came from Abraham?
Well, you are.
But what I'm not talking about grafted on, but what if, like, literally, by descendant, I am a descendant of Abraham through one of the many nations that he fathered.
Well, you might be an Eastern European.
Well, I might be. I don't know. But I mean, I think it's really beside the point. I hear that verse all the time. They slap you in the face with it. He was talking to Abraham. That was quite literally right when God called Abraham out of his father's house.
Isn't it a...
But you know what's also interesting? God says, leave your family. Leave your father's house. In the very next chapter, right on the line, Abraham left and took Lot. Well, God said, leave your family, and he took Lot. A little further down, how much trouble does Lot cause Abraham? And we see it as part of God's story, right? But had Abraham done what God wanted him to do, leave your family, leave your nephew Lot, he would have. How much trouble would he have saved himself? I think you're
Trust and obey.
But I think you're supposed to read that into it, because like literally it says. Where does it say like Abraham? The Abraham part. Where's the Abraham part? And then I got to remember. No, okay, this isn't the Abraham part. Maybe Genesis 12. I don't know. Where's the Abraham part? Because I think it's important. Now the Lord God had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred. Get out from thy kindred.
Leave on.
And from thy father's house unto a land that I will show you. Okay, and I will make a nation. It's King James, so it's hard to follow. It's hard to read. Yes. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, Abraham, and I curse him that curseth thee, Abraham. In thee all the families of the earth shall be blessed. And they were through Jesus Christ. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. Right there, and Lot went with him. You're supposed to think, well, God said leave your kindred.
Maybe he didn't want to.
Well, Abraham didn't want to, but the only point I'm making is...
So he didn't obey.
He didn't obey, but then you see all the trouble that it brought. Even though it's not explicitly stated, hey, Abraham shouldn't have brought Lot, and look at all the trouble it caused. But I mean, you're just reading between the lines. I just think it's interesting, because we see stuff like that in the Bible, where it's like, well, it goes right into Solomon having all these horses, having all this gold, having all these wives, having all these this and that and that. We think, whoa. Think about, whoa, look at that. What? Solomon, he's the guy, whoa. But then you read in Deuteronomy, hey, when you get into the land and have a king, don't do this. Don't get horses from Egypt. It just said it. Solomon got all these horses from Egypt. Don't stockpile gold. Well, Solomon stockpiles. Don't take foreign wives. I'm paraphrasing. But again, there's just all these things in the Bible that are like that if you're not looking for it, you miss it.
Well, think about Solomon. Solomon is known in the Bible as one of the wealthiest, smartest, the wisdom of Solomon. Okay, now Solomon lost 10 of the 12 tribes in Israel because of the foreign wives and all the different types of pagan religions and the different types of religions. The only reason he didn't lose them all is because Jesus had to come from David's lineage. Mm-hmm. Solomon might have been smart as could be, but he had a weakness for the flesh.
Well, rather maybe the wisdom of God is vanity to men, in that he had all the wisdom he could have ever wanted, and look at everything he did. Look at how he ran his country. So is it that the wisdom of God is insanity to man, or just the wisdom of you can't utilize it, or was there something deeper going on? Because, like you said, I mean, he had to have the line through Solomon of Jesus, but for all that wisdom, because me and you
had a lot of folly.
Well, as me and you, I'd look at that and say, well, Solomon, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You idiot, right here, idiot. But he was supposedly the wisest man ever to live.
Ever.
So was he an idiot, or are we missing something?
I have a feeling that he was a little bit of both, like humans.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought when Donald Trump was wrote his book, The Art of the Deal.
I've heard people love that
and
book.
I thought, man, I wish my daddy would give me $50 million. And
it'd be nice.
If you get $50 million. That gives you just a little bit of head start over most folks, and he lost that. At one point, he'd gone bankrupt 3 times, and once you owe the banks enough money, you can dictate the terms to them.
Is that because it's like, hey, if you ever want your money back, shut up and do what I want?
Yes. This is the way we structure it.
So that's for real. That's like a real deal.
Absolutely. If you get in banks' pockets enough, then you control basically the structure of the deal.
Well, they know that, right?
Well, they don't get in over their heads unless they have a relationship with people and everything's good. For example, if a building in New York is worth $200 million and the real estate market drops by 30%. Okay. So now 30%, you're looking at $60 million. Well, if you're upside down on that note, or you can't pay that note, then they're going to foreclose on you.
Sure.
Because $100 million, they're going to turn around and sell that building to someone else, even at a loss, just to get it off their books.
Sure.
But what happens if you owe them $2 billion?
Yeah, more than they even own or have.
There you go.
Interesting.
Then they say, well, now the real estate market is dropped in half. You're not going to be able to pay these bills. We're going to foreclose. And then you say, well, now you do realize I can't pay you at this level. And if you'll give me the time for the real estate market to recover, everybody gets paid. So they set the terms. It's always better to owe banks lots of money than a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You don't want to be worth $5 million, because everybody just take $5 million real quick from you. I mean, that's just that's chicken feed. They're going to do the same deals. They're going to spend the same money. They're going to have the same attorney's bills for $100 million deals. They're going to have for a $2 million deal. So they don't do the $2 million deals. They do the $100 million deals, and that's where their niche is. But I mean,
so that's what Donald Trump did, huh?
Donald Trump's gone bankrupt 3 times. He walking down the street in New York, and told his second wife, I believe, you see that homeless man over there? He's worth more on paper than I am. Because his net worth is 0, and Donald Trump's negative $1.6 billion. But a year later now, he's worth $1.6 billion.
Yes. I mean, if Donald Trump's even worth anything now.
He's in, exactly. You never can tell.
No,
with the double-blind investments and everything else. I thought it was funny that Nancy Pelosi somehow, as a career politician, has a net worth of over $400 million.
Insider trading, man.
$400 million. I mean, she's a pretty smart lady. I mean, I admire that strategy. Can you imagine a politician, a public servant, amassing a $400 million wealth just on very strong, intelligent, perfect timing trades over a long period of time? Brilliant.
Well, I don't know how they do it.
The SEC and the FCC are right in that horse race, just a couple of lengths behind the FDA for the most corrupt organization.
Sure. Well, I tell you, I follow accounts that literally post stock trades of politicians, and it's always literally, hey, Nancy Pelosi traded this stock, or John. I mean, the example was, a week and a half ago, right before all the Iran stuff, John Bozeman of Arkansas bought some Raytheon stock. but he sits on the subcommittee for defense, this or that. And it's like, oh, well, he probably gets all the intel. He knows we're about to go to war with Iran, knows something's about to happen. So then he's allowed to buy weapon manufacturing stocks? That's
tell you what, and that's
ridiculous.
That's just
John Bozeman, you are an evil, despicable man, and you should not represent the state of Arkansas.
That is a typical politician right there. I mean, they're just public servants, just trying to help serve.
Yeah, and
but there's not any of them when they leave office is not wealthy.
No, and now you think about it, I'm going to call John Bozeman, and I'm going to put in a complaint with his intern.
Well, I know Mr. Bozeman. I met Mr. Bozeman.
Well, he's an evil man.
And Mr. Bozeman, he was an eye doctor.
Evil man.
Evil eye doctor.
Anyone who's doing that kind of thing is an evil guy.
That's an opportunist, not an evil
guy. An
opportunist.
He's an opportunist when you.
Hey, I sit on the subcommittee, and I buy some military Raytheon stocks. By the way, I don't play in that sandbox either. You want to get killed, go ahead and play with the dadgum independent contractors of the military.
Sure, well, John Bozeman, he should be on the list.
You want to start dealing with those powerful people that you don't know their names, start getting into defense contracts.
Oh, well, I get that. Well, that guy that Minnesota assassin guy, he was all tied up owned a company for, security company security. Now, I don't know what these security companies do, right? But, I don't know if they're mercenaries or what, but...
Anything that they, just whatever you can imagine, you can guarantee that they have divisions and sections of...
but this guy...
Anything and everything.
Yeah, but this guy himself was like, in his, late 50s, early 60s, right? Yeah. Owned a security company, and he himself enacted these crimes and was that sneaky, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, imagine you being your age right now and carrying out some sort of
mastermind plan.
If that's the way it went, if don't get me wrong, it's weird that Tim Waltz had this guy on payroll, had appointed this guy, and then that same guy is the one that killed the politicians in opposition to Tim Waltz. So I'm not saying nothing about that. There's some weird connections going on there.
Again, I don't understand how folks get to where they are. I must be just off in left field. How a socialist can double everybody else's vote in New York City when he's dangerous. And when you have all across the United States, how does Tim Waltz get to be the governor of the state of Minnesota, putting tampons in dadgum boys' bathrooms? You got this Newsom man, he will not give up on Title IX. He wants these men to play in women's sports. Now, how do you pick that as one of your dadgum main points that you're trying to get over?
I don't know. I just think that they don't. But, I don't think he gets on local California TV and says, hey, everybody, we're putting tampons in all the bathrooms. I don't think that's how it works, right? I think it's deception, but you have all these people over 50 or 60 who think my party believes this thing. They don't ever see the stuff about the transgender tampons in the bathroom or the boys playing girls sports, or if they do, they see it in a way that makes it cartoonish, where they say, oh, yeah, right, or, oh, it's not even that bad, right? So they're all just misled. Like, even in Arkansas, I saw some people who were just lifelong Democrats, right? I knew them personally. Had in the window, party for the people, party for the workers.
Amen.
But
my daddy thought to like.
But they're so disillusioned. They agree that abortion's abhorrent. They believe in traditional marriage. They believe in conservative values. But they don't understand that the party that they are diehard members of sold them out 50 years ago.
The yellow dog Democrats that my father was like, born in 1929 from a southern state. The whole southern states were blue. They were Democrats. They were the party for the people.
Well, they were all lied to. I think all those yellow dog Democrats were fooled and lied to begin with.
Absolutely.
And I mean, but it's just sad that you still have holdovers that haven't realized yet.
Well, you have the whole southern states being red, and that is a religious Christian culture thing. If you start talking about,
I think you also got to get into demographics too with that.
Well, I totally agree, but you got the Bible Belt being the number one porn hub of our country.
Yeah.
But they're still voting at the polls conservatively.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into that because it's like, okay, well, if their hearts are actually detestable with the porn and this and that, but they, so it's like, yeah, it's good they're voting for the country conservative things, but if in their heart of hearts they're just as bad as other people, everyone else, is that a good thing? Or is that worse?
Enjoy your work day, Jerry. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you, Jerry.
Appreciate you.
For tuning in, man.
It's a cultural issue for sure. I think it's an educational issue for sure.
Education, interesting.
When people say, does the Democratic Party believe in sex change operations to a 75-year-old woman that goes to the Baptist church and she's been a lifelong Democrat? She probably is not aware.
No.
Just like people aren't aware that the Jewish culture had so many transgender operating.
Oh, no, that was literally, it was a Jewish doctor's the one who pioneered the transgender surgeries in Berlin in the 1920s to 30s.
I think
Keyword Berlin.
I don't think there's any question there that throughout the Word of God, the Jews have been absolutely despicable.
Well,
God himself has said, you ungodly, unholy.
I wouldn't have been surprised if God choosing the Jewish people was irony in of itself, in that, hey, I'm going to choose literally the worst people group on the planet and make them priests to the other nations. That's irony. That's the irony you typically only see in God.
What father that son asked for a fish would give him a stone?
Well, a Jewish father.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
That's
well, but all that to say, there's still going to be a remnant in Israel of the seed of Abraham who will realize that they pierced their Messiah.
Yes, there will.
And I'm not denying that 1 second. No. But it's a remnant to me denotes a small number. So a majority of them will not.
No, I'm giving you my my account of it. I think that the bottom line is when Jesus puts his feet on that mountain and those Jews are going to be gathered, there's going to be a remnant of them saved.
Well, but do you think it's going to happen as Jesus touches down, or do you think it's going to happen before? I don't have any thoughts. I don't know.
I think it's a part of God's plan to get them back there.
No, get them back there. But I just wonder, do you think they're going to turn to Jesus as he's literally floating out of the sky, or do you think there's going to be the two witnesses that will turn them?
Some, or don't you think?
Yeah. I don't actually know, but I've even heard, and this kind of turned me off, but I've heard people say so many Christian men will be willing to die for Israel that it'll soften their hearts and turn them back to Christ. And you know what? The idea, so many Christian men will give their lives.
In the Antichrist deception time, I don't.
Yeah, well, it sure seems to me like you're trying to get a bunch of Christian men to die for Israel so they can say, thanks for nothing, idiots.
Right.
You see the deception in that.
I do.
Well, it's kind of like since this war with Iran started, I see people all over saying, I'm not dying for Israel. A lot of American men saying, I'm not dying for Israel. I'm not dying for Israel. I'm not dying. It's like there's almost like a stereotype among young Christian men of, well, we're going to have to go die for Israel, and I don't want to do that. But you're going to call me a bad Christian because I don't want to go die for Israel. I'm not you, but I just that's popular online right this second.
Let's go with Isaiah 1, and we'll just see how the Lord thinks of Israel. Because he's not happy with them now. He wasn't happy with them then.
No, but he still made a promise to them.
He still gives them a covenant. Isaiah 1, the vision of Isaiah the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Hazaz, Hezekiah, and king of Judah. Again, if you read it like you know what you're talking about, you don't
those names, you just
Just
Make 'em up.
butcher them.
Hey, make them up as you go.
Butcher.
You did a good job.
Has
though.
Jerusalem.
Has Jerusalem.
Al-Calzalar. And my favorite, Judah. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doeth not know, my people doeth not consider. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger, and they are gone away backward. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart is faint. Now that's what you would say, not being very happy with your family.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm certainly not sitting here saying that you have to agree with everything Israel does. I am here to tell you that it is prophecy that the United States will stand with Israel and its leaders to the end, and we will be victorious at the Battle of Armageddon. Now, does that mean that Israel's not corrupt? The Bible, I mean, that's the God right there. Just got through telling you the evildoers and the seeds of iniquity.
Sure.
So I don't have any problem. I'm just going to continue to obey Yahweh and try my best to stand with Israel. And I know you just think that stand with Israel is just a term. It's a geopolitical
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
term.
obeying Yahweh and standing with Israel are not connected.
I know.
Now, I'm not saying you're not obeying Yahweh when you support Israel, but if I say, I think they're pretty evil and Iran's evil, screw both of them.
I'm for Iran, and I don't want. You can't do that, can you?
I'm not saying I do.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, if I was an Iranian, I would be thinking, go Iran, and I don't think they're inherently sinful for saying, and an Iranian who's just a Persian person who says, hey, screw Israel, they're evil. My country doesn't like them. I don't like them. I don't think they're any worse than anyone else.
Or a football team, a fan base that doesn't like another one,
Well, yeah,
Michigan doesn't like Ohio State.
I think it's inherently wrong to wish the death upon anyone. This country's saying death upon this country. Inherently wrong. But I don't think it's any more worse or any more... Well, I don't think it's any more worse to say death to Iran as it is to say death to Israel. I think they're both detestable. I don't think God looks at one... I don't think... you say both of those statements and God... Did he just say death to Israel? Whoa, whoa, whoa! But he didn't hear you say death to Iran. No, I don't think it's like that. I don't think he's... he chose Israel as an inheritance after the Tower of Babel, and he made an everlasting covenant to them that they broke continuously, to the point where he had to have a second covenant, right? Yeah. But
we do the same thing. Well,
yes.
We're not going to...
No. I'm just as detestable, sure. But for me to have the idea that I have to give my favor to Israel simply because it's Israel as opposed to Iran, that's where I think, okay, that's a little too far. Now, I don't give my support to Iran, but just because this piece of land the government calls their piece of land Israel, now it's always been Israel forever. Even when it was Palestine, it was still the land of Israel, sure. But just because there's a government called Israel in that land, I don't think I'm going to be beholden to support them in every single little thing they do simply because they call themselves Israel. I'm not convicted with that. Some people might be, but that's not me. If Abraham was alive today, I would bless Abraham. I wouldn't curse him because I would either be cursed or blessed based upon how I treated Abraham. But I don't think me simply saying, hey, this country that's calling themselves Israel, and they do a lot of bad things. They're really bad. there's going to be a small percentage of them who will turn back to Christ. But until that happens, you're not getting my money. You're not getting my support because you're doing detestable things. I wouldn't support what this country's doing if it was another country. You know, if it was Pakistan doing the exact same things that Israel's doing. Say, man, this is detestable. Oh, well, but this is Israel. It's in the Bible, so we have to say okay to genocide and bloodshed because they're in the Bible. Don't you know? No, that's not me. I don't track along with that. Now, that's the way I should think. Well, dang. But
I don't know. I just.
Well, I mean, like, well, here's a verse.
Honest. I do appreciate.
I do try to be honest. I'm not trying to sit here and argue with you, but like my preacher, he touched on a verse the other day in Deuteronomy, right? And it talked about, "I carried you out of Egypt on the wings of eagles." Well, did he use the United States to carry the slaves out of Egypt?
I don't think so.
No. Okay, so is John using the language from Deuteronomy, the Old Testament, the Exodus language? Or is John seeing the United States of America on an airplane and saying, oh, thank God for the USA that he's going to save Israel in the end times?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, a lot of prophecy teachers are exactly, they question just like you have questioned.
And I would say that only because, like, you know, you've heard of the ancient aliens. Which I love the show Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. Such a good show. Entertaining. It's so entertaining. So entertaining. But it's a bunch of lies, sure, because they would say that our creators are aliens, and that's, you know, they seeded life on this planet, and that's where we come from, and that all these ancient religions were just seeing, like Ezekiel, the chariot of fire. Ezekiel saw a UFO, a spacecraft, and because he had a limited understanding, he attributed it to a chariot of fire. Now us, today, we see airplanes, Apache helicopters. We read these people who have a limited understanding and say, well, obviously, they were seeing airplanes and Apache helicopters and just called it what they knew. Okay, well, how's it any different than me saying, well, Ezekiel saw a UFO? God's an alien. He saw a UFO. Well, if it is, you see what I'm saying, though?
I'm pulling for Enoch and Elijah to be the two prophets.
Well, that's what some people say.
Because they were called up. I'm a big Enoch fan.
The two witnesses, you mean?
Yeah, the two witnesses. I want them to a lot of people think it'll be Moses and Elijah because of the parting of the Red Sea
and the Transfiguration.
Yeah,
because that's who they saw the Transfiguration.
But I hope it's Enoch because I'm a big Enoch fan. I'm telling you, we're gonna read the book of Enoch.
Well, and some people say it's Enoch and Elijah or Elijah, whichever one. The one that got called up. The two people who didn't die.
There you go. That's
what people think. Well, and I will say this: my preacher didn't get into it last night, but he said, I wanted him to get into it. I meant to ask him. But he didn't. He said he's not so sure that the two witnesses are even two literal people. That they might refer to something broader. I don't know. Like I said, he didn't give details. I've never heard any other opinion on that outside of two people.
Especially because they don't actually tell them what they're wearing.
Well, and they'll lay in the streets dead, and they'll speak fire out. So I mean, I don't want to
metaphorically or symbolically.
Right. So I don't want to like poo on my preacher by saying, but it'd be interesting if he could mean like maybe it means two nations. The two nations are witnesses, or two. Like I said, I don't know. I never thought of any other concept outside of two people who are just going to be sitting there saying, Jesus, 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 and then they're going to get sick of them and be like, we're killing these folks.
They obviously are going to do a whole lot more than that.
Well, I mean, I tell you though, if I was just a Jew walking down the street in Israel and I saw Enoch sitting there spitting fire out of his mouth upon Shmuel, who didn't want to accept Jesus, I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're Enoch? Yeah, man. You just called fire in your mouth on that guy, Shmuel, because he didn't want to accept Jesus. Yeah? I think I'll accept Jesus as my Lord. You know, so it's like, if it's like that, well, that kind of seems too obvious.
Like a little free will.
Well, yeah, because it's like,
I'd be like, Enoch, man, tell me about this Nephilim.
Well, and that's kind of why I was asking.
That's
kind of why I was asking. If I saw, as a Jewish person, Jesus descending down, had these scars, these cuts, touched down on the Mount of Olives, how much free will would it take to accept that? And so, I mean, I've just asked
Great point.
But I only asked that to say, like, well, I know Jesus has come down on Mount Olives. The Jews are going to accept him, a remnant. We know that, and that's why. So that's why I asked, like, Well, are they going to accept him before he touches down, after he touches down, during? You know, I don't know. I'm just asking because if I saw Jesus come right now and I didn't believe, Jesus is my God. Here he comes right now. Just like that. Does that mean I'm getting sucked up, or how much faith did I have to have? Because I saw him coming in glory. I don't know. I don't know.
I
don't know.
Inside my mind, have thought, you know, I'm not going to get any rewards or crowns because I actually had to see it.
Sure, to believe it.
See, it's the people who haven't seen it that believe it. They have the most faith. So I've actually internally, I thought, the Lord, no, that's the devil. I don't need to think like that.
Well, right, but I've wondered, well, we are the most faithless generation. So what in that, if Peter would have been born 50 years later and just heard about Jesus, would he have believed? Who knows?
Yeah, but that's
I know, but I'm just saying, Peter had to be an apostle of Jesus to believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so
how much free will? That's what you get.
Well, he had a lot of free will because he denied Jesus, right?
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is God knows everyone, knows their faith.
Knows their
all the people born after the apostles of Jesus up until the coming of Jesus, we probably have less faith than all the generations before us because we're going to see it.
That's what I'm saying. Less.
Right, but what I'm saying is, did he make us be born now because he knew that we had such little faith? The only two ways we'd come to him would be, look at all this stuff happening, as opposed to someone who's born 500 years ago. They didn't see Jesus coming the first time. They're not going to see him coming the next time. But boy, golly, they got that faith. You know.
Good. All of them are good questions.
Step out for just a moment. I'll be right back.
Well,
we just sing a song. I'll be right back.
Sing a song, sing out happy, sing out strong. Wish I could sing. Don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing. Sing a song. Do 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 do. Hey, Phee, sing. Sing a song. Anyway, as I was reading on Phee Smee Live, you ought to catch Phee Smee Live. We were talking about Gaza compared to Judea and the West Bank. A lot of this people are saying that this peace plan, 7-year peace plan, will be about the land in Gaza. Well, in Zephaniah 2, it says in verse 1, "Gather yourselves together, ye gather together, O nation not desired. Before the decree can bring forth, before the day passes as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you, seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, for which wrath of his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. For Gaza shall be forsaken, and Ascalon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at the noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up." Now that is what is happening now in Gaza.
Well, what chapter and verse was you looking at? I just want to...
Zephaniah 2.
Zephaniah 2. As you're talking, I don't want to reread this while people watch me. But,
no, that's fine.
So they're talking about Gaza way back. So Gaza is not a modern term like Palestine, which, I mean, Palestine's not a modern term either. It's talking about
the Palestinians is about a 1970 term.
Well,
you start talking about all the...
No,
the
I would say Palestine, I would say it's... Well, I mean,
the country of Palestine.
Well, think about if you're the Romans, right, and you're going to sack Israel and Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Who were Israel's historic enemies? The Philistines.
The Philistines were right.
That's what I'm saying. Philistines and the Palestine, one and the same.
You know, the Palestinians are the Philistines.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. If I was the Romans and I said to Israel, because after whatever the Maccabee revolt, they got sick of the Israelis, the Jews, conquered them, tore down the temple,
Killed 500,000 of them.
renamed the country after the Philistines.
Yeah.
And so that's all I'm saying. So Palestine, the way we pronounce it, might be from the 70s, but
Yasser Arafat, another criminal and a terrorist that started the Republican Guard, basically over in that area.
But you knew about the Palestine being the Philistines, didn't you?
Yes.
I mean, everyone knows that, but it's like, but okay, but was it Philistine first or was it Israel? Well, it's probably Philistine. So the argument that
they're talking about there was not a flag, there was not a territory.
No, I agree.
They went to bed as Egyptians, they woke up as Palestinians. They went to bed as Syrians and they woke up Palestinians. Mm-hmm. They went to bed and then they woke up Palestinians.
Okay, well, I mean, how many people went to bed, whatever other country, woke up Israelis? Well, can you not say the same thing? And again, I'm not a pro-Palestinian. I'm not a pro-Islam, even though most of the people who are actually descended from the first Christians are the Palestinians of today. I mean, the same people group, right? Like, it wasn't like Paul, it wasn't that like Peter's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson's Netanyahu. Peter's great-great-great-great-grandson probably got converted to Islam, being in the land, and now his name's Muhammad, and now that's still there. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
Well, that Temple Mount has got 2 of the top 5 Muslim holy places.
I might even throw something at you. I'm not willing to die on this hill, but I wouldn't be surprised if what we call the Temple Mount isn't even the Temple Mount. There are some people, this isn't a conspiracy. I mean,
yes, it is.
Well, I mean, this isn't.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, Phil's saying it's a conspiracy. There are some real scholars and some real big wigs in Israel who are
criminals.
Criminals for what?
Because they're from Israel.
I'm not. Look at this man attribute anti-Semitism to me when I'm just real. But the point I'm making is there are real discussions about the site of the first and second temple not being on the Temple Mount, in that the Wailing Wall, the Weaving Wall, is just a remnant of a Roman fort. That's not a wall of the temple. That's not a wall of the temple. I mean, and like I'm being serious about it not being a conspiracy. Is that like if you read about the temple and how they had to wash the temple garments after the sacrifices, there had to be a certain spring. All these sources of water within the temple. That on the Temple Mount, those sources of water don't exist. They actually exist a little further down the road over here. And so, is it that important? I don't know. I'm not sitting here saying the temple's not the temple, or there was no temples. But for all these people who say that, the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, whatever, had to come down before the third temple could be built, I wouldn't be surprised if, we uncovered something that the temple spot's actually over here instead of right here. I mean, if it does, cool. If it doesn't happen that way, cool. I mean, I'm not like dying on the hill. I'm just simply saying there are real pieces of research and artifacts that dispute the Temple Mount being the real Temple Mount.
I've actually heard that.
And so that's I wasn't trying to be a conspiracy theorist.
I just go to the Bible.
I mean, I don't know the Bible. I mean, the Bible gives the location, but where's the location now? I mean, simply saying it's like.
Well, you don't think Jerusalem's in the same
location
it's supposed to be?
Yes, I do. But I mean, I just mean
you don't think the Temple Mount is on?
Well, if it doesn't have the spring, if it doesn't have these certain springs that it says they have to have, and
realize that
this place down the road has those springs.
Ezekiel 40 has got them all confused. Because they say that the third temple's got to be the exact same dimensions.
Ezekiel says Jerusalem's the center of the earth.
No.
Okay, so is Jerusalem the center of the earth?
Well, they call it the Middle East for a reason.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, he said it's the literal center of the earth.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got an aunt who would say everything in the Bible's literal.
Yeah.
Everything's literal.
It's not.
Okay, it's not. So, I mean, we know that Jerusalem, now I say that, if it just happens to be statistically the center point of the earth, well, I was wrong, Ezekiel right, but what I think you miss out on stuff in the Bible when you make claims like that. the earth's built on 4 pillars. Well, I mean, if you think the earth's round, no, it's not. So is the Bible wrong, or is he saying something else?
Yep.
I mean,
That is one of your examples would be good.
Well, that is my
example. But if historically the facts are, this is where Jesus said in Matthew 24 that this is you should look at this temple, every stone's coming down.
Yeah, well, that happened in 70 A.D.
So, yes.
Or whenever.
So that's, they know where that was. And
well, you say that, they do, but there was a Temple 4 built on time. I mean, the wall that they stick all those notes on, that for some reason all of our world leaders put on the little hat and go pray to, which is weird because none of our world, they're not Jewish. That's weird. It's a Roman fort wall.
Have you ever put on one of those hats?
No. Why would I do that? I'm not Jewish.
I have never put on one of those hats.
No, but if you went to Israel and went to the Weeping Well wall,
I don't think I would.
No, because it's pagan.
I would feel in my heart
uncomfortable. Yeah, me too. Well, and not only that, but like a lot of these ultra-Orthodox Jews, have you ever seen them go up to the wall? And I mean, you've seen them move with the wall, right? Like how they do the whole.
I've seen it on TV. I've never been over there.
Do you know what that actually means?
No.
You need to look up what that actually means.
What is it?
Well, it's Kabbalah. It's Jewish mysticism. Jewish mysticism is
You're big into that.
Well, I didn't know I was, or didn't think I was, until you just start realizing, because it's like, I mean, when I read the Old Testament, there's not a whole lot of Jewish mysticism, okay? Not a whole lot of Jewish mysticism in the New Testament, but...
Well, Enoch has a lot
now, okay, if you've been in Enoch, sure, but I just mean it's mostly Judaism after the times of the Bible that's just filled to the brim with this mysticism. In that I don't know whatever Kabbalah thing it is, but it's a sex act. When you go and see those rabbis doing that on the wall, they're metaphysically, there's some metaphysical sex act with some feminine divine.
Wow.
Like you need to look. I can't just quote it because I'm not a professional, but like. If you look up into it, it has a specific term, has a specific purpose, and like most Jews that we see are not following the Old Testament.
Well, there's no question about
They're
that.
They're following something else.
Yeah.
I mean, we just.
You just assume it as we gather all in from, hey, we're Republicans or we're conservatives. Or
yeah,
we're
well, I mean, naturally, all the Jews in Israel are following the Old Testament. That's what they believe, but.
That's not. There's certain sections. That's like saying that the Baptists have the same beliefs as the Church of Christ.
Well, or like, or even the same books of the Bible as the Catholics. Now, I would wonder though, like some of those, like the Apocrypha, the extra books that the Catholics have. I don't necessarily see any problem with any of them.
Well,
because most of them are all Old Testament books.
I have to tell you that I said to a Catholic, I said, y'all had to add some more books to your Bible, and she said y'all had to subtract some from yours.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of like the same thing you said about
I had this assumption.
Ethiopians got 88 or 81, and some of them have 66.
And you got people in America saying the King James Bible is the Word of God.
That was my
It's
daddy.
the Word of God. Well, what about the ESV? That's not the Word of God. The King James Bible is the Word of God. Well, what about... So you're telling me God inspired this translation? Well, yes.
My daddy thought that.
Yes.
Though, but that was in the 1500s, and it was a committee.
Well, yes.
And it was to sell dadgum Bibles, and it was to separate from the Catholic Church, but for money.
Yeah, but this is how you shut that up right now. Well, did the Spanish-speaking people have their own God-breathed inspired translation? Well, no. Well, did the Chinese-speaking people have their own God-breathed inspired translation? Well, no.
Breathed inspired?
Well, I mean, they
43 committee members, including the Archbishop of Canterbury?
They would put the King James Version on par with the Greek and Hebrew.
Well, that
the original manuscript. I mean, you've heard these types of people.
Yes, my daddy was one of them.
Well, my family is too. They put the King James.
I believe the King James Version was the best in the world, and King James had nothing to do with writing it. No. He just commissioned it.
No, well, he commissioned several demonology books prior.
Hey, again, we just rock and roll, nickel down for the last show of the week. Phee Smee show is first week's in the books. We'll get back with you Monday. Friday, we are off on the Phee Smee show. We will be doing some other podcasts and trying to get out some editing and some shorts. Mark has been doing a phenomenal job with this studio.
Yeah, I've been doing an all right job.
We're right in the process. This is right at a month. We actually, May the 27th was our first day of our first day to actually put something up.
Sure. Okay.
That was my 3rd year anniversary of being terminally ill.
Okay, that's right.
And then the June 24th, with this week, was the 2nd year anniversary of my vision.
Sure.
So we are now.
We're in the full swing of things, is what you're saying, Phee.
Well, no, I'm saying that we're a lot better off than we were 1 month and 3 days ago.
Yeah, I will say that.
I will say that we are twice as fast, and we are. Our sound is better because of you.
Better. Well, but I mean, don't give me all the credit, Phee. I will say, if you guys would have heard Phee Smee the first few episodes we tried to do, well, it was scary, but I had to spend 4, 5, 6 hours, edit this, edit that, do this, do that, sloop that, dupe that, slompy dompy, whatever. But now we hit record. Did I hit record? Yeah.
Or he forgets to hit record.
Or I forget to hit record. We finish.
Has to go to the bathroom.
Well, now I tried so hard.
You do realize the first time we actually had the Phee Smee show, he got up in the middle of it and moved the set. And then the second show, my son was watching last night. He was moving the desk.
Oh, your son was watching while that was happening?
No, I was with them last night eating.
Oh,
and they put it on and watched it. And you were moving.
What did they think about that?
Well, they thought that you were goofy. No.
But did it? I mean, goofy. I'll take the goofy. But did they think did they actually cringe? Did they go like?
No. They just thought, why is your Bible floating?
Well, because I noticed halfway through the show, the camera was like this, whoop, and so half your literature was hanging off the desk, and half my literature was hanging off. See, look, when I grabbed into this desk, it looks like I grabbed into the table, right? That was what I was going for. Like, oh, well, here, if you see me, grab the end of the desk. I'm grabbing the end of the metaphysical desk. Yeah. There's no, if I drop this, it's going off the desk, or it went off into Neverland. But that's what I was trying to. That's what I was trying to work on yesterday. But then I realized halfway through, our dimensions, our scaling is off for the.
The good thing about it is we lasted 1 month here without causing any major problems with any major regulations or agencies. I'm telling you what now.
I don't know if that's by virtue of
lucky. The Lord's blessing us.
Lucky,
right now.
Or we're just speaking so much into the vacuum of nothingness.
Well, I think right now what you're looking at is Mr. Hoover is really sucking us up.
Mr. Hoover. Who's Mr. Hoover?
That's a Hoover vacuum cleaner. Sometimes it's difficult to make people laugh when they're so young they don't even remember the best vacuum cleaner ever made, the Hoover.
Well, I was thinking like Hoover, like Herbert Hoover, that trainee that ran the FBI.
Again,
he was a bad guy, wasn't he?
Mr. Hoover of the FBI. I think he was a little light in the loafers.
Yeah, well, he would dress up as women.
Well, again.
I mean, but I'm just saying.
I'm not.
You're not denying. You've heard the same thing.
I have.
Well, but then just look at the FBI, one of the most corrupt organizations in America. It's supposed to be for America, but how often do they act against America?
I think the FBI is, depending on who's running them and who's running our country.
Boots on the ground people, probably great.
Well, 93 out of 100 of them are good folks. They're actually trying to prevent things that. Bad things to happen to their people, but there are. Let me tell you something. The last 4 years, the corruption in the FBI.
Yeah, Christopher Wray, the FBI director.
Again, if you go out throughout history, you can pick any period of time and era and find people are just they're ungodly, they're unholy.
Yeah.
Given the opportunity, they will mess things up.
I just wish we still lived in
medieval times.
Well, yeah, in an intelligence era where it was less on. Think about being a spy in the 1800s. Like the spies, there was,
Think about being a spy today.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. A spy a spy in the 30s and 40s compared to a spy today, you had to be sneaky, man. Sneaky.
Give me that Bible. James Bond today.
Well, you got 3 Bibles. What's wrong with that Bible?
Be obsolete.
Yeah, well.
Phee Smee Show. Again, Monday at 9 a.m. Thank you and have a great weekend. We won't see you on Friday. We will not have Night with Phee this week. We will try to get that started next week along with the Man in the Mirror.
So you're not going live tonight or anything?
We are not going live tonight. We probably will go live this weekend.
Okay.
And I will check the news if something breaks.
Oh, sure.
Then we'll definitely be here. I was on last night at 10.
Well, and it looked like you had a lot of. How was the viewership on that? Because it looked like you had a lot of comments and. Thanks, keyboard man.
Thanks, captain of the ship, Nickel and Dimer, two-line rhymer, the better half of the two. And I'm talking about not him, but you.
Yeah, well, he texted me halfway through, said I'm tweaking, man, so I better watch out. And he's like, okay, well,
yeah, you be tweaking, all right.
Well, I toned it down a little bit.
Hey,
I get excited.
He does get excited, and at least at some point you will realize that Mark loves the Lord Jesus Christ. He is a man of God. He does not put up with a whole lot of folks that just unilaterally accept the Jews as God's people, because he is right. The Jews are scattered all across the world, and the folks that are in Israel right now don't always have the right intentions.
And I wouldn't say that they're not God's people. The seed of Abraham are very clearly, according to the Bible, God's people. Yeah. But does that mean give every single bit of my tax dollars, do wrong to do them right?
Planned Parenthood gets a lot of your tax dollars.
Planned Parenthood, probably. Well, I would be willing to guarantee that the leader or the founder of Planned Parenthood was part of a very specific people group.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That will end our program today. We do appreciate you tuning in to the Phee Smee Network.
Catch us again Monday at 9 a.m. live for the Phee Smee Show.
With Manly Mark. God bless you.
God bless you. Hey guys, I'm here.